Also, Kinect has the ability to recognize you and automatically pull up your profile based on your skeletal structure and some basic face recognition software. Hell, Kinect even has a motorized base so that it can adjust its view on the fly to accommodate rooms of all sizes and the position of each gesticulating player. Unfortunately, fingers don't appear to be a part of Kinect's skeletal structure, but hey, you gotta leave something for the Xbox 720. Rounding out Kinect's tech is the microphone array, which allows players to use voice commands along with motions, adding another level to application control. This is accomplished with 4 separate downward-facing mics that are able to pick up reasonably audible commands from just about anywhere in the room. In fact, it's the placement of these mics that ultimately determined the length of Kinect's sensor bar. The innovative bit here is how, through an onboard processing unit, and part of how Kinect can accomplish this is by using data from the IR camera to determine where players are in the room, and focus in on sounds only from those people. Picking out your voice is only half the story. The computer can recognize your command, through whatever accent you may have, by checking it versus an acoustic model that was built on hours of samples taken from regional dialects all over the world.
So now you have learned about features of all these 3 advanced game controllers. And here is the table I compiled comparing 3, and each of them have their own advantage, same time as the drawbacks, such as for Wii Remote, it's really the pioneer in the industry to introduce motion control to the gaming. However, many players have found the motion sensing of Wii Remote is not that accurate sometimes. But still, it's really the one to broaden the game player base and introduce a fun type game to all the traditional non-gamers. And PlayStation Move have improved the Wii Remote functionality, but it's still a little bit more expensive than Wii Remote, where for Wii Remote you can buy a regular one with $16, and if you're willing to pay $40, then you can get a Motion Plus built in. And also for PlayStation Move, the available game title is not that many at this point of time. And the Kinect is really the motion control device with a very different approach, but it's still quite expensive for most players. Although Microsoft claims you can just buy one piece which can support up to like 6 people at the same time, but the motion control of Kinect at this point is not that super accurate or like perfect yet. It can only detect your whole body movement. It cannot tell the finger actions of the player, and sometimes it's confused with the random action of you and of dedicated action, and it even will disconnect a player if you sit down. So, as you see here, each of them still have room for improvement in future. But I believe with the technology advanced more faster and better in following years, they will do better and better. And already this device have encouraged and inspired a lot of developers around the world to build up several different applications based on them. So here are 2 clips I would like to show you. The first one is a Wii hack by Johnny Lee, which he demonstrated in the TED conference.
The Nintendo Wii Remote. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this device, it's a $40 video game controller, and it's mostly advertised for its motion sensing capability, so you can swing a tennis racket or hit a baseball bat. But what actually interests me a lot more is the fact that in the tip of each controller is a relatively high-performing infrared camera. And I'm going to show you 2 demos of why this is useful. So here I have my computer set up with a projector, and I have a Wii Remote sitting on top of it. And if, for example, if you're in a school that doesn't have a lot of money, which is probably a lot of schools, or if you're in an office environment and you want an interactive whiteboard, normally these cost about $2,000 to $3,000. So what I'm going to show you how to do is how to create one with a Wii Remote. Now, this requires another piece of hardware, which is this infrared pen. You can probably make this yourself for about $5 with a quick trip to the Radio Shack. It's essentially got a battery, a button, and an infrared LED, and it turns on, you guys can't see it, but it turns on whenever I push the button. Now, what this means is that if I run this piece of software, I can now register, the camera sees the infrared dot, and I can register the location of the camera pixels to the projector pixels, and now this is an interactive whiteboard surface. So for about $50 of hardware, you can have your own whiteboard. this is Adobe Photoshop. Thank you. Now, the software for this I've actually put on my website and have let people download it for free. And in 3 months that this project has been public, it's been downloaded over 500,000 times. So teachers and students all around the world are already using this. I want to quickly say that although it does do it for $50, there are some limitations of this approach, but you get about 80% of the way there for about 1% of the cost. Another nice thing is that a camera can see multiple dots, so this is actually a multi-touch interactive whiteboard system as well. For the second demo, I have this Wii remote that's actually next to the TV, so it's pointing away from the display rather than pointing at the display. And why this is interesting, is that if you put on, say, a pair of safety glasses that have 2 infrared dots in them, what these 2 dots are essentially going to give you is give the computer an approximation of your head location. And why this is interesting is I have this little application running on the computer monitor, which has a 3D room with some targets floating in it. And you can see that it looks like a 3D room. If you can see, like a video game, it sort of looks 3D, but for the most part, the image looks pretty flat and bound to the surface of the screen. But if we turn on head tracking, the computer can change the image that's on the screen and make it respond to the head movement. So let's switch back to that.
So here's the sense you can see how people can utilize the motion sensing technology. And the second clip shows you the application built on Kinect.
My favorite Kinect wins. The Kinect tracks 20 joints on your body 30 times a second, and with simple drivers, people from all over the world are taking it into their own hands. Besides exploiting the fact that it's an actual 3D camera, people are harnessing it to play all sorts of games with their hands in the air like they just don't care. For example, Minecraft, Mario Kart, Super Mario Brothers, or this guy who made a demo of 3D Tetris where your hands manipulate the pieces and you can move your head to change the screen's perspective. A few days ago, Kevin showed you a guy who used the Kinect to motion track his nipples and cover them up. Well, if you're less shy, do what this guy did. Program your Kinect to recognize and reify your air guitar. It's like playing Rock Band, but without all the plastic paraphernalia. This guy let it detect his body, but then replace it with the back wall to make him the Invisible Man. Creepy, right? Well, not as creepy as this. Here's someone who took the Kinect's recognition of his body and had it transform him in real time to a giant, pillowy blob mutant. In case you're curious, yes, he did make a follow-up video with his cat. But why not mount the Kinect on a robot and use it as the robot's eyes? Well, these people did, and since the Kinect sees in 3D, of course, it's a flying robot. Question: what if the Star Wars kid was not only a dork, but also a geek? Answer: he may have done what this guy did. Use the Kinect to track a wooden stick and give it a lightsaber overlay. Or, if you prefer Christmas lights, check out this girl who can control lights like a conductor by waving her hands. To see more of these and other Kinect hacks, or to get pointers on how to experiment yourself, check out kinecthacks.com.
So here are just some examples to have seen. There certainly be more and more applications based on these technologies. So as technology advances, we have already seen the evolution of game controllers. And enabled by the development of the new technology such as Bluetooth, accelerometer, gyroscope, motion control have already entered our life. And there's 2 parts of this story. The first part is sensing part. The game understands you better. It's more than just you pressure the buttons when you play a game. Now the controller can see you, hear you, and even in the future understand you, can even read your emotion from your facial expression. And on the other hand, the game is more interactive. You are now really inside the game. In other way, you sit before TV screen, then you just stare at the screen for feedback. Now you have rumble effect, and in future, with technology, they're probably at a point where real virtual reality will be in the game. It's no longer be just in the movies such as Matrix or Inception. It will be real virtual reality for everybody playing the game. And more than that, this device can expand their application outside gaming to our daily life. So let's see what will be next coming up with more advanced technology. Maybe Wii 2, PlayStation 4, or Xbox 720. Well, that's end my presentation today, and now I would like to open up the floor for any questions. Oh, if there's no question, or when you're thinking about it, I can show another clip. Oh, if you need more time to think. Oh, I will pass around controllers as well. You can check out. Here's comparison between Move and Kinect when people play with it. Yeah.
Do you know, is Nintendo and Microsoft, are they supporting these hacks, or are they trying to prevent people from doing these hacks?
For the Nintendo case, Nintendo officially say the device is solely for the game. But for Kinect, I think Microsoft is kind of ambiguous at that point. Because when they read about the hacks around the world, Microsoft make a statement that we don't call these hacks. We leave out a USB port over there just for people to develop something. And there's also a rumor for Microsoft there will be potential PC support in the future for Kinect. So they are looking for ways to expand the Kinect to other than just game consoles. So probably that's like a technique for marketing the device because it's really new and people need time to get familiar with it to develop different games. Just like Wii Remote, when it's come out in 2006, the game titles playable with Wii Remote is not many. But over years, when people get used to this concept motion control, now there are like over 600 game titles available for Wii Remote.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very interesting area of how much has changed and went from one long-term of a classic approach into three quite different approaches. I got to see the move at the CES this year, and what really impressed me is you've got a good camera, this little web camera. It's watching you. It's got your Move device in your hand, which I was watching, and it's got this Move device that sees where it's pointing. In real time, it was generating a virtual image. So it sees me and would put a sword in my, or add a ping pong ball, a ping pong racket if I was playing that game. So it's doing a whole bunch of real-time virtual reality that I found to be quite impressive. What I don't understand on the Kinect is to what level PrimeSense owns some technology, what Microsoft owns, in that I started seeing PrimeSense making some very Kinect-looking devices to control Netflix and other ones also at CES. And then on the sad note for Microsoft, but for Google, I believe one of you mentioned it the other day, of the guy that we saw there was Carnegie Mellon, Johnny Lee. He was from Carnegie Mellon giving away a bunch of stuff. He went over to Microsoft and actually worked on the Kinect. Stayed there for 2 years, or a little less, and then moved over recently to Google. And so Microsoft has lost a very, very talented person who was able to get a lot done very rapidly. Google has gained someone who will be able to do some rapid.
And I just read the news about Apple. So there's a tech review website released. They find in the coding for Apple TV. They find a new coder name for like Apple Gamer or Apple Games something. So there's a rumor Apple might turn Apple TV into a game device sometime.
So it's an interesting way. These technologies are pretty inexpensive. The sensors now, and people are using them. I mean, it's pretty impressive what we're going to be able to see in the next few years. And I also want to compliment Josh on taking good videos and overlaying them with good annotation. That takes a lot of practice to pull off. I think that we pulled them off very well. It makes it relatively interesting. In fact, you were listening more to him than you were to me earlier. So.
game that.